as Pak Ardi said previously, fuel price will affect to mining costs. So what is your insight and strategy regarding this, especially to tighten the production costs impacted by the high energy commodity price?
Yep. So fuel cost definitely has a significant impact, especially on mining production, because the heavy equipments we use utilize a lot of fuel. One of the ways that we find efficiencies, especially in our operations, is using technology. You know, nowadays there's a fuel monitoring gauge to make sure that the trucks are operating within a certain bandwidth level. So these are some of the implementations that we use. But overall, in our business, we use quite a lot of different monitoring technologies in order for us to have more efficient mine plan and also to achieve our operational targets. But more importantly, also for you know, safety of our employees. Instead of you know, taking the car, for example, to go and using a topography machine, we actually have some efficiencies by using drones instead, so that they can map the mining areas.
Okay.
So that also solves two problems at once, which is the safety concern and also the fuel, the use of fuel. Exactly.
Oke. Dari Pak Ardi sendiri begitu, mungkin secara keseluruhan begitu ya, dari industri tambang sendiri menghadapi kondisi ini begitu, tadi Anda juga menekankan sekali lagi begitu bahwa kenaikan harga energi ini juga tengah ditimbang-timbang efek positif dan juga negatifnya, tadi termasuk adalah dari sisi produksi begitu ya. Anda sendiri mungkin seperti apa saran-sarannya ataupun juga langkah-langkah yang dilakukan begitu dari Perhapi sendiri berkaitan dengan production cost yang ada saat ini, seperti apa langkah yang dilakukan untuk tadi ya menekan cost produksi dari industri tambang di kondisi yang ada saat ini?
Ya, tentu hal yang dilakukan adalah efisiensi terus-menerus ya, Mbak. Karena bagaimanapun juga ini bukan pertama kali ya industri tambang mengalami kenaikan harga bahan bakar. Jadi kejadian ini selalu terjadi berulang kali, sehingga sebenarnya para penambang ini sebenarnya sudah terlatih lah menghadapi fluktuasi harga komoditas maupun harga biaya dari penambangan. Nah, memang yang tadi disampaikan oleh Pak Mr. Ryan tadi is correct. Ya, kita melakukan efisiensi terhadap penggunaan bahan bakar. Kita juga menggunakan teknologi yang tepat untuk menghemat dari operasional penambangan. Ini penting. Tapi di satu sisi kita juga harus tetap mempertahankan standar-standar yang sekarang diminta. Karena sekarang requirement dari stakeholder di sekitar pertambangan itu makin tinggi terhadap industri pertambangan. Kita harus menerapkan kaidah-kaidah ESG. Jadi selain juga operasional, juga ESG menjadi hal yang faktor yang sangat menjadi perhatian dari industri tambang, pelaku industri tambang pada saat ini. Jadi selain melakukan efisiensi di dalam operasional penambangan, kita juga harus meningkatkan poin-poin dari ESG tadi itu, sehingga produk-produk yang kita hasilkan nantinya juga bisa dianggap produk-produk yang ramah terhadap ESG ya. Karena kita lihat sekarang dunia barat juga sudah menerapkan standar-standar hijau ya untuk produk-produk tambang. Nah, hal ini tentu yang harus diimbangi oleh rekan-rekan di industri pertambangan di Indonesia.
Oke, baik Pak Ardi. Ryan, beside the geopolitical tension, all eyes on the U.S. dollar right now as we are in this uncertainty on the Fed's policy in this year. So as the dollar is strengthening and rupiah is weakening, so this situation will add a blessing actually to your company. I don't know, is it a blessing or not? So how do you think about this one and regarding your company's performance during the weakening of rupiahs?
Yeah. So actually, for us, with the rise of the US dollar, actually for nickel miners in Indonesia, because it's a domestic-based industries where we sell to nickel smelters, the trade, our transaction is actually in US dollar, but the trade settlement is in rupiah. So when you're talking about, you know, us dealing with our customers like the nickel refineries and the smelter, we're actually it's dollar denominated, but the settlement is in rupiah. Okay. So with that, actually we are not so much a benefactor as compared to the refineries, because the nickel refineries, they are exporting the products, so they actually receive US dollar. So to basically answer your question, I think this is something that maybe you know, can be looked at further, because even you know, us as a miner, when we deal with our customers, the settlement dates for it has different processes. Some use bill of lading, some uses like you know, the certificate of analysis, some uses the tax date. So for us as a company, we actually need to really manage the different dates, because sometimes with currency fluctuation, you know, a certain date, the percentage of the currency movement can affect our earnings. So we do have that exposure with regards to actually, you know, US dollar being, we're actually supporting the government, because most of our revenue is actually still in rupiah, whereas you know, maybe for the refineries, it's actually US dollar, and their cost base is in rupiah. So I think the refineries, with the rising dollar, they might have actually a better foreign exchange gain.
Okay. So what kind of hedging your company doing during this time? And as we know that the Bank Indonesia has already higher its interest rate, so does this will affect to your company's expansion plan?
Yes. I think with higher financing costs, obviously that will affect most companies. You know, but for us, actually, we do have very strong corporate governance in terms of our debt to equity ratio, which is relatively quite low. And also in terms of our expansion plans, actually, we are not so highly levered. So we actually expand using equity from the company, which last year, you know, we celebrated our 15-year anniversary for PTI Fish Deco, and it was actually our record year. So we have quite a strong capital base for growth this year. So actually, our prediction initially was that nickel prices will come down this year, which lets us have the opportunity to expand through acquisition. But unfortunately, the situation has changed slightly.
It's more challenging right now.
Which is a little bit more challenging, but we still believe that Indonesia has a lot of opportunities, especially in the battery mineral space. So I think it's more having good corporate governance and good financial policy that, you know, for our company, that we won't be so affected as of now with the higher interest rate.
Oke, thank you Ryan. Pak Ardi, berkaitan tadi dengan apa yang disampaikan begitu oleh Ryan begitu, tadi sudah memberikan pandangannya terkait dengan kondisi yang ada saat ini berkaitan dengan pelemahan rupiah yang ada ataupun juga penguatan dolar yang cukup signifikan dan juga kebijakan dari secara moneter begitu ya dari Bank Sentral termasuk adalah Bank Indonesia kemarin baru saja menaikkan suku bunga acuan dan tentu akan membuat perusahaan juga mungkin mempertimbangkan begitu ya langkah-langkah ekspansi ke depannya begitu. Seperti apa tanggapan dari Anda, Pak Ardi?
Terkait dengan kebijakan fiskal, sebenarnya industri pertambangan secara umum ya, kalau kita tidak melihat nikel saja, kita industri pertambangan itu sudah support bisa dikatakan 100% atau bahkan 200% terhadap kebijakan fiskal Indonesia. Masih ingat dengan kebijakan mengenai DHE ya, jadi DHE. Jadi pada kebijakan DHE itu semua eksportir bahan yang berdasarkan sumber daya alam itu transaksinya harus melakukan ekspor ya, kegiatan ekspor, kemudian transaksinya harus masuk ke dalam rekening bank di dalam negeri selama 3 bulan, nggak boleh keluar uangnya. Nah, kemudian setelah itu baru boleh ditarik. Jadi sebenarnya pemerintah dalam hal ini sudah tepat ya pada saat diluncurkan kebijakan DHE dan tentu disupport oleh rekan-rekan dari pelaku industri pertambangan secara umum ya, tidak hanya nikel karena kan nikel kan raw materialnya kan dilarang untuk diekspor ya, jadi harus dijual ke dalam negeri. Tapi rekan-rekan yang di industri tambang batu bara, kemudian di perikanan, di perkebunan yang berdasarkan sumber daya alam sektor yang berdasarkan sumber daya alam ketika melakukan ekspor hasilnya harus masuk ke dalam sistem perbankan dalam negeri selama 3 bulan. Jadi itu Mbak. Jadi sebenarnya sih itu yang selama ini sudah kita lakukan sebenarnya. Jadi sebenarnya dengan adanya kejadian seperti ini sebenarnya tidak berdampak terlalu besar ya bagi industri pertambangan di Indonesia, Mbak.
Oke, evaluasi mungkin untuk kebijakan DHE sendiri lebih lanjut seperti apa, Bapak?
Nah ini yang justru kita menunggu evaluasinya nih, karena kan harusnya kan kejadian ini tentu akan mengerem laju investasi industri tambang. Jadi kalau bayangkan uangnya ditahan ya, dana yang sudah dihasilkan dari ekspor tersebut ditahan selama 3 bulan. Nah, ketika mereka rencananya mau melakukan ekspansi, tentu akan menjadi suatu kendala ya, karena uangnya masih ditahan di sistem perbankan di nasional ya. Nah, apalagi ada hal berat lagi sebenarnya yang kami tanggung, yaitu kalau kita melihat istilahnya sistem keuangan yang berbasis berkelanjutan, kan ada disebut sebagai apa istilahnya itu Mbak yang
ya DHE
nah itu,
Bapak?
Bukan DHE ada satu hal yang menyebabkan sektor pertambangan tidak bisa mendapatkan pembiayaan dari perbankan karena dianggap melakukan kegiatan-kegiatan yang tidak ramah lingkungan.
Okay.
Jadi masuk kategori bukan kategori green tapi kategorinya kuning ya. Nah, ini seperti ini tentu akan memberatkan sektor pertambangan Indonesia ketika mau melakukan ekspansi atau melakukan aksi korporasi untuk menambah bisnisnya. Kira-kira begitu, Mbak.
Okay. Maybe you wanna give more thoughts about the evaluation for DHE, devisa hasil ekspor policy, or maybe you want to talk more about the performance during this year projection for the company during this year.
Yeah, so I mean, last year we had a remarkable 53% growth in terms of top line revenue to up to 1.4 trillion rupiah. And we also saw an increase on our EBITDA, about 18%. This is mainly driven by the company's strategy over the last 2 or 3 years to focus mainly on mining and also to invest into technology efficiency programs and also our company's regeneration of management and also how do we kind of took the lessons from COVID that to control remote working areas for top management to coordinate with the site. So a lot of these lessons that we've learned, we are actually bringing it forth to last year, where we saw our best performance. And for this year, we also plan to continue that program, especially the operational efficiency program, because actually our forecast for our company this year, 2024, we already anticipated that this year is going to be a challenging year, considering that almost most countries in the world were going through election.
Is it more challenging than last year?
Definitely more challenging than last year because a lot of the economic policy, geopolitical uncertainties globally, where major countries like the U.S. is going into an election. Indonesia, we just went through an election.
Yeah.
I think India just had an election. So a lot of these shifts, we have to monitor the government regulations in different places because, especially in the commodities business, this is a global trade business. So there's a lot of factors where we have to
not just here, but other countries too.
Exactly, that we have to monitor and make sure that we're prepared for, in terms of our investment decision, in terms of our long-term strategic planning, and so forth.
Wow, it's tough actually.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah.